dive deeper into the author and his novella for this series, I learned that when Charles Dickens was 9 years old, his family moved to London. And at 12, his father was arrested and thrown into debtor's prison. Dickens's mother moved 7 of their children into prison with their father, but arranged for Charles to live alone outside the prison, working with other child laborers at a brutal, nasty job, pasting labels on bottles in a warehouse. He was 12. And after his father was released from debtor's prison, Dickens returned to school, eventually becoming a law clerk, then serving as a court reporter, before taking his place as one of the most popular English novelists of his time. At age 25, he completed his first novel, The Pickwick Papers, which was very successful. And that started his career as an English literary celebrity, during which he produced masterpieces such as Great Expectations and A Tale of Two Cities. But he lived a rather lavish lifestyle, more than a bit above his means. His parents did not have something like raising financially freed up kids to help them educate him. And he had 6 children to feed, a large house in London to maintain, and of course his lavish lifestyle. Christmas was approaching, and bitterly he confided to a friend his bank account was bare. So over 6 weeks, he wrote the 66 pages of the classic Christmas ghost story. You may not know it because it's such a shift from our present culture, but back in the early 19th century, Christmas was not a big deal. Not in England, not in America. In fact, it was in decline. Charles Dickens' novella reinvented the English, and therefore the American, Christmas as we know it. In fact, there is a movie playing right here in town about Charles Dickens writing A Christmas Carol. Barb and I went and saw it last night. Pretty good. Like most movies. Take some liberties, but pretty good. Watch this. By the way, I have no financial interest. George, can you bring down the lights so they can see better?
Humbug. So he's had a couple of flops? Well, who hasn't?
Do you have a new book in mind?
Oh, of course he does.
My lamp's gone out. I've run out of ideas.
Are we in trouble?
No, of course not.
I have told you not to disturb me when I am working.
On Christmas Eve, the spirits pour into the night.
Look here, Mr. Dickens. Pickpockets, streetwalkers, humbug. Those people don't belong in books.
Charles!
It's about a miser, and on Christmas Eve, he meets some kind of supernatural guides.
Does it have a title?
Humbug, A Miser's Lament, or Christmas Ghost Story, Christmas Song, Christmas Ballad, something like that. Get the name right, and the character will appear.
Scratch.
Scrooge. Come on, Scrooge.
Shut the window. You think I'm made of money?
Mr. Scrooge, how delightful to meet you, sir.
Sorry, I can't say the same.
You and I are going to do wonderful things together.
How do you think our world come alive? I can almost see and hear them people.
Even if you'd already written it, we couldn't possibly get it printed and distributed in only 6 weeks.
If I can't finish it, I'll never write again.
The characters won't do what I want. I'm the author here.
Allegedly.
A jolly ghost. What's that mean? In the season of hope, we will shut out nothing, and everyone will be welcome. I have to get to the printers by 9 o'clock.
But you still don't have an ending.
Merry, Merry Christmas to one and all. That's enough. Back to work.
God bless us, everyone.
So in the second stave of Dickens's A Christmas Carol in prose, after the visit of Marley's ghost, Scrooge is awakened by the tolling of a bell. Scrooge is puzzled by that bell. He hears it do the preliminary chimes marking the quarters of the hour, and then he's waiting to see what hour it strikes. And when it strikes 12, he's really puzzled because Dickens wrote he didn't go to bed until 2 a.m. So he's thinking, did I sleep until noon? What is going on? I mean, Scrooge was not one of those that would, apparently he was somebody that didn't need a lot of sleep, and he wouldn't have slept through half the day when he could have been making some money. So he tries to go back to sleep, but then he encounters the ghost of Christmas past. What memories do you have of past Christmases? I've got lots of memories of Christmases past, discovering that Mom and Dad had assembled these cardboard teepees for my brother and me that we could actually get into, and these full head cardboard masks of Quick Draw McGraw and Huckleberry Hound. For those of you that are under 40, Google those. All right. Now, of course, I claim Quick Draw McGraw, and my brother Kent was Huckleberry because I was going to exercise the right of primogeniture, firstborn, first choice. I remember sneaking down the stairs of the parsonage in Warren, Indiana, being very careful to avoid those parental early warning signals of the squeaky steps. To confirm that my wish for my own catcher's chest protector had been granted. I remember being more than a little disappointed when what I thought was a longed-for BB gun turned out to be literally an air rifle. All it shot was air. I remember Barbara's and my first Christmas together, when we were so anxious for each other to see the gifts we had bought for the other that we realized on December 23rd we'd already had the other open every gift we had, which necessitated a quick trip to Target on Christmas Eve. So we could have something for the other to unwrap on Christmas morning. I remember accepting the offer of a parishioner from the little Trafalgar United Methodist Church to place a call to the parsonage from Mrs. Claus. And watching our daughter's faces during the conversation. I remember our Christmas in Liberia, where there's lots of green growth, but no evergreens grew. So Barbara found some green felt at the market. She cut it and taped it to the wall along with homemade ornaments. So we had a black Christmas tree. And we had a Christmas tree. And we had Christmas for the girls and for us. I remember a Christmas morning in the Elkhart County Jail, visiting a parishioner who was not there voluntarily. The judge had set an unreasonably high bail. And as it turned out, the man was completely exonerated. But because of the high bail, there he was. Literally separated from his family on Christmas morning. He was there, so I was too. Our memories shape us. They shape who we are. They help us develop a picture of what the world is and how we fit into it. We may be able to forget the bad parts of our history, the times when we're at our worst, but there are other memories well worth re-examining. So the spirit of Christmas past takes Scrooge back to his childhood. And immediately he's filled with joy. When Scrooge sees his former self, he also realizes how lonely he was as a child. Could his inability now to be married be a way of honoring his childhood heartbreak? Seeing himself sitting alone at the boarding school after all his schoolmates had gone to their homes for the holiday, Scrooge cries. And something begins to happen inside him. I wish, Scrooge muttered, putting his hand in his pocket, looking about him after drying his eyes with his cuff. But it's too late now. What is the matter? Asked the spirit. Nothing, said Scrooge, nothing. There was a boy singing a Christmas carol at my door last night. I should like to have given him something. That's all. Next, the spirit of Christmas past takes Scrooge back to when he was a young apprentice to a man named Mr. Fezziwig. And he sees Mr. Fezziwig throwing a Christmas party that brings all the participants a lot of joy. And Scrooge observes that happiness does not cost a fortune. A small matter, said the ghost, to make these silly folks so full of gratitude. Small, echoed Scrooge. The spirit signed to him to listen to the two apprentices who were pouring out their hearts in praise of Fezziwig. And when he had done so, said, "What? Is it not? He has spent but a few pounds of your mortal money, 3 or 4 perhaps. Is that so much that he deserves this praise?" "It isn't that," said Scrooge, heated by the remark and speaking unconsciously like his former, not his latter self. "It isn't that, spirit. He has the power to render us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or burdensome, a pleasure or a toil. Say that his power lies in words and looks and things so slight and insignificant that it is impossible to add and count them up. What then? The happiness he gives is quite as great as if it cost a fortune." He felt the spirit's glance and stopped. "What is the matter?" asked the ghost. "Nothing particular," said Scrooge. "Something, I think," the ghost insisted. No, said Scrooge. No, I should like to be able to say a word or two to my clerk just now. That's all. It's continuing to happen. Scrooge's heart has been touched by looking back into his past and honestly assessing it against the present. The redemption process is continuing. Then the Spirit leads him to re-examine the end of his relationship with Belle, who realized he loved money more than he loved her, followed by viewing Belle, her husband, and children, a painful reminder of what could have been. You see, when we look back over our lives, we may not like what we see. But perfection is not a prerequisite for following Jesus. It's never too late to turn a circumstance around. It's not about never messing up. It's about how through grace we accept our imperfections and transform them into good works. Scrooge is beginning to realize that the person he is now doesn't look like the person he once was. And it troubles him. When Jesus calls his first disciples in our gospel lesson this morning, those fishermen, he calls them to drop their nets. He doesn't call them for what they have already done. They're fishermen. Now, if you're going to fill out a classified ad for a disciple of the Messiah, you probably would be tempted not to say no experience required. But that's exactly the way Jesus operated. He didn't call them for what they'd already done, but for what they will do. And as United Methodists, we believe that the Holy Spirit will work in us, continually perfecting us, but that doesn't mean we will make the perfect decisions, or we'll never mess up. Christmas can be a painful time when past mistakes or losses sometimes get to us. But Jesus came to redeem all of us. And that includes our past losses and mistakes. This morning we lit the first candle on our Advent wreath. It's often called the candle of hope. Will we sit back and look at the candle of our life, snuffed out by something or someone that took away our hope? Or will we light the candle again? Relit, reignited by the love of God. In order to grow in grace, we have to offer our past to Jesus. We have to accept the work that Jesus has already done for us on the cross. Then we can move forward. If we have the courage to sit with the pain and the joy, then reliving the past can have a profound effect on the way we see the present. Can we slow down enough this Advent so that we can mold and shape the self-centered desire we have into desire for Christ? And then notice the change happening in our souls. The miracle is beginning for Ebenezer Scrooge. Does it need to begin for you? It can. God bless us every